This is Trinity Storm and you are watching 6th part of What If Naruto travel back in time to save Uzumaki clan. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The Third Shinobi War had come to an end. Iwa had given up. It's not surprising given that Namikaze Minato used his Hiraishin no Jutsu on hundreds of Iwa shinobi and killed them all in seconds. Fearing that the man would use said jutsu to breach Iwa's defenses, the Tsuchikage decided to cut his losses and call a truce while he still had the chance. Iwa knew their Tsuchikage had done the right thing after being the final holdout of the war due to Kiri's initial plan to destroy Konoha backfiring and Kumo no longer having the stomach for staying in the war. They didn't like it, of course, but it was either that or live long enough to see Iwa invaded and most likely destroyed by their enemies. With great reluctance, Iwa's need for self-preservation triumphed over the village's pride in continuing to fight. However, while overall peace had been achieved, Konoha was experiencing its own problems as a result of this newfound peace. A growing tension had arisen in the Leaf, thanks in no small part to those currently in power, who refused to see positive change occur. Instead, they chose the opposite and in their arrogant pride didn't even realize it. For many years, I was the Sandaime Hokage. Proudly. Faithfully. I've never flinched in the face of danger. Unfortunately, I cannot remain your Hokage indefinitely. As much as I would like to shield you from the dangers that lurk beyond our walls, Hiruzen spoke calmly while the people below him absorbed his words. Almost everyone, that is. This is the decisive moment. Kushina-chan. It's time to see what the old monkey is up to now, Minato whispered to his wife Kushina as they stood behind the Sandaime Hokage, along with the clan heads, councils, and Anbu captains, watching the transition from one Hokage to the next. It gives me great pleasure to announce my successor to you. One who deserves the title and has faithfully served Konoha since he was a child. I give you my successor, the new Yondaime Hokage. Declared Hiruzen before turning around and looking at Minato with a knowing look on his face. You brought this on yourself, look. Before turning his full attention to a slightly stunned Uchiha Fugaku, as no one had informed the Uchiha that he would become the new Hokage. Me? Hokage? Wondered Fugaku, who took a few steps forward and was handed the Hokage hat by Hiruzen himself. Uchiha Fugaku, as the Sandaime Hokage, I now appoint you as the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. May your reign as Hokage of Konoha be long and prosperous. Hiruzen exclaimed, surprising the audience, who had expected Namikaze Minato to be the next Hokage. But the people quickly forgot about it and began to applaud and cheer for the man whom the Sandaime had personally chosen to lead Konoha into the future. So Hiruzen has made his decision, Kushina said quietly, her gaze narrowed at the old monkey. I'm sorry you didn't become Hokage. Minato-sensei, I know it was your dream. Rin expressed his disappointment at seeing his sensei being denied what was rightfully his after everything that had happened during the war. This is neither right nor fair. No way, no how, sadly whispered Kakashi as his father placed a supportive hand on his shoulder. My son, not everything in life is right or fair. I discovered this the hard way. Kushina's clan taught me that we must endure and seek greener pastures when the one we are in no longer fits us. It is not betrayal if the people in the village betray you first, despite your complete loyalty and love for them. A village full of people like that is not worth defending. They are no longer human beings. Just rats and snakes on a sinking ship slowly eating each other in order to survive long enough to see the ship completely sink before they all drown, Tsukumo replied, seeing his son stiffen slightly at his words but accepting them nonetheless. I'm just glad you didn't commit suicide. Tsukumo-kun, you would let this village drag you down for doing something honorable to the point of suicide just to make them happy. Honestly. After hearing what you were thinking, I'd smack you upside the head if I hadn't already," Kushina stated with a sidelong glance. "Yeah. I'm still not sure what I was thinking. Kushina, you and your clan saved me from myself." "Thank you very much," Sakumo replied, smiling at her and then at his son. "The question is, what should we do about this new Hokage?" questioned Rin as she placed a hand on her belly, sensing the three-tailed Biju in her becoming nervous. In terms of bonding, the two had grown quite close in the last few months since being sealed into her. Rin had followed Minato's advice and attempted to meet her Biju in order to form a friendship with it. The turtle was sealed into a human, but that didn't mean it had to live in isolation for the rest of Rin's natural life. Kushina had started it with Kyuubi, who was surprisingly open to the idea of being her friend almost immediately. When Kushina asked why he was willing to do this, the fox simply smirked at her, as if he knew some kind of inside joke, and told her it was good for both of them. Kushina knew the Kyuubi was keeping something from her, but she decided the secret wouldn't harm her or anyone she knew, so she decided to let it go. For now. We proceed as planned, but we don't do anything until Fugaku does. He will almost certainly convene a meeting of the councils and all clan heads right now. He can't keep turning Kushina or you into weaponized Jinchuriki from us. Everyone, including the Jinchuriki in question, must agree on the decision. Something Hashirama insisted on so that a future Hokage couldn't simply claim ownership of one and force a Jinchuriki to fight for Konoha against their will. He didn't think Jinchuriki should be used as a weapon. I'm surprised he didn't notice when dividing the Biju among the other villages, Minato responded while tightly clutching Kushina's hand. Best intentions, Minato-kun, Kushina said quietly, knowing that the other Jinchuriki from the other villages were not treated so well when their cages wanted to use them for war. Fugaku had done enough waving to the people by this point to satisfy his overinflated ego before calling for an immediate meeting with the councils and clan heads to issue his new orders as the new Hokage. Not surprising, given that becoming Hokage necessitated a meeting almost immediately on the first day to not only assert one's authority, but also to receive updates on matters that a Hokage needed to deal with. As you are aware, my appointment as Yondaime Hokage has left the position of Uchiha clan head vacant. As a result, I am transferring that title to Uchiha Yashira. I'm confident he'll do an excellent job, Fugaku announced, while Yashira nodded and accepted his new position as clan head. What about you, Hiruzen? Will you become the Sarutobi clan's clan head? Shibi was perplexed. No. My wife Bawako-chan will now be in charge of that position. I'll be a member of the Shinobi Advisory Council. Many of the clan heads frowned as Hiruzen responded. The Advisory Council already has 3 members. Is a 4th one really required to assist the new Hokage? Hiashi inquired because he believed many would perceive the new Hokage as incompetent to handle the responsibilities of his position. Are you seriously questioning Konoha's right to sit on the Shinobi Advisory Council as the previous Hokage? Questioned Danzo because he knew Hiruzen could help him persuade Fugaku to follow their policies and thus moved to defend his old rival. I'm not questioning his authority. I'm wondering if having so many shinobi advisors is a good thing for a Hokage. It may lead our adversaries to believe that our new leader is unprepared to lead Konoha. Not only that, but this could result in some kind of tangled bureaucracy. Something that makes things difficult for all of us when certain situations are discussed and the Hokage must take decisive action, Hiashi countered, his gaze fixed on the Shinobi Advisory Council and the new Hokage. Danzo, everything is fine. To answer your question, Hiashi, my previous Hokage's years of experience will be invaluable to Fugaku. After all, a new Hokage needs strong advisors until his own experiences ruling over the village are more solid enough to make more direct decisions later on, Hiruzen replied, spinning his involvement in Konoha's government in a favorable light for himself. which I accept because Hiruzen's wisdom is highly regarded by all of us. It's one of the reasons why I believe my first decision as Hokage will have the support of everyone here, Fugaku added, while the clan heads all frowned because they had a bad feeling about this. And what decision is that? Minato asked, looking at Kushina and Rin. Konoha has avoided using Jinchuriki as weapons of war for many years. Since the Shoden era, in fact. At the time, it was a noble sentiment. Given that his wife Mito was a Kyuubi, I'm sure he wanted to avoid having her use the Kyuubi's power for war. Without a doubt, to ensure that Konoha did not rely on Jinchuriki to get the job done when war and conflicts erupted. However, I am no longer convinced that such a path is prudent. With each conflict and war we have with them, our enemies from other villages use their Jinchuriki more and more. Fortunately, the recent peace has provided Konoha with a window of opportunity to address that one issue. Now that we have not one, but two Jinchuriki in Konoha, we can do what we need to do to truly be the dominant shinobi village among our competitors. I'm requesting that Uzumaki Kushina and Nohara Rin have their seals examined, altered, and used as Konoha's new weapons. They will have their seals changed so that they can both access the Biju that they each possess, and when the time comes, we will crush our enemies one by one, to the horror of many in the room, Fugaku replied. You can't do it, Fugaku. There are laws in place that require everyone in Konoha's ruling body, including the Jinchuriki, to agree to such an action, Minato reminded Fugaku of the law Hashirama enacted and Tobirama enforced. Hiruzen only enforced the law because the Uzumaki clan would not allow it otherwise, and even if they weren't present, Kushina wasn't about to let anyone tamper with the seal she had as a child. I am repealing such legislation. As Hokage, I have the authority to change or repeal laws that impede Konoha's overall progress. The world is changing. If Konoha does not change with it, our enemies will destroy us as they plot against us during the time of peace we have been given to prepare ourselves against them. The only way to do so is to weaponize our Jinchuriki and train them to attack when I give the order, Fugaku countered, while Kushina and Rin both growled angrily. And what if I refuse to be made into a weapon? Kushina inquired, his gaze fixed on Fugaku. You will be labeled a traitor to this village, your marriage to Minato will be annulled, and I will ensure that you are expelled from Konoha and returned to your island homeland. Of course, this is only after a suitable host is found to seal the Kyuubi into for the purposes stated above, Fugaku replied, semi-arrogantly, that he didn't believe Kushina could handle the might of his clan, let alone all of Konoha. The only drawback to his actions was that his wife, Uchiha Mikoto, would be slightly upset because the two women were close friends. Mikoto even had a crush on Minato when they were younger, shortly after graduating from the academy and becoming genin. Mikoto secretly competed with Kushina for Minato's affection because she saw the blonde's potential and knew he was destined for greatness. That was, of course, before the female Uchiha was forced to marry Fugaku in an arranged marriage arranged by their parents. Unfortunately, his wife's rage was a small price to pay for greatness. Mikoto had been a strong kunoichi before their marriage, but now she was a loving housewife who occasionally assisted the clan. It wouldn't be long before she was pregnant and giving him a son to raise in order for him to become a future Hokage. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to put up with it. Tsunade yelled angrily, glaring at Fugaku. Tsunade, you must accept it or I will impose severe financial penalties on your clan as punishment for defying me. The Uzumaki clan, and any other clan here who challenges my decisions as Hokage, will face the same fate. It is time for Konoha to weaponize their Jinchuriki and use them to end wars and take our enemies' lives. There is no room for compromise here. Both Jinchuriki will submit to the Fuinjutsu team I will appoint to modify the seals and start training to harness the power of the Biju, commanded Fugaku while ensuring that the team itself was made up of Uchiha clan members to not only alter the seal, but to ensure certain additional parts were in place when the process was completed. When it came time to test the seals, the Biju inside Kushina and Rin wouldn't be the only things brought to heel at his feet. Sometime later, Namikaze estate. That cretin. Sensei expected him to do this. He was most likely fed stories of glory from the days of Uchiha Madara, about how the man was able to control the Biju with his kami eyes. Tsunade yelled angrily, and Kushina was equally enraged by the situation. No doubt done in the months leading up to the war's end. Fugaku most likely went to the Uchiha library to confirm Hiruzen's words and found them to be accurate, or as close to it as possible. It's no surprise he didn't object to the old monkey's appointment to the Shinobi Advisory Council. And now we have to deal with this cretinous Hokage who wants to turn Rin-chan and me into weapons of war. Right after we achieved a measure of peace. He wants to prepare us for another war in the future. The idiot, without a doubt, wishes to begin. Kushina exclaimed angrily, while Minato sighed, having reached the same conclusion. The good news, as minor as it is right now, is that Fugaku has only recently issued this ruling and needs time to put things in order. Not to mention Makoto will undoubtedly give him a hard time when he returns home, making his life miserable for a while. Minato chuckled at the last part, knowing that despite his arrogant strutting around, Fugaku had a healthy fear of his wife when she was angry. Not that he was one to speak up, because when angry, Kushina was just as bad, if not worse, than Makoto. Plus, we've been preparing for this for months before today, Kushina added, referring to how she and the other clans, minus the Uchiha and a few minor clans, had begun to prepare for the mass exodus to Uzu, with Garp being informed well in advance should this occur. And, while we aren't quite ready for the big move yet, we will be soon. We just need to put Fugaku's and the others' plans on hold long enough to get things moving, Minato finished, and Kushina nodded. Do we know who we can and cannot trust? Tsunade inquired, knowing that there were still a few holdouts from some of the clans and those in Danzo's root program. We were fortunate to be successful in this regard. Surprisingly, there are fewer than we thought. Of course, the Hyuga elders and traditional main family members will remain, given that their current superiors support their practice. When we leave, they will undoubtedly resume their cage bird seal tradition, albeit with a different seal, and keep the issue quiet. Inoichi is aware of several members of his clan who were en route and will not be joining us. Shibi is the same way. We know who to believe and who will support Konoha when we make our move. When Minato noticed Tsunade's frown, he sighed. A part of me wishes it hadn't happened. Part of me believes we are betraying my family in some way, Tsunade mumbled, wondering what her parents, grandparents, and grandfather would think if she or Nawaki left Konoha. Would they agree? Disapprove? The hybrid of the two? Tsunade, they would want you to be happy. Nawaki is the same way. After all, Uzu was also your grandmother's home. Her first residence. If there was anywhere in the world she would want you to move to where happiness could be found, it would be there. Tsunade nodded and smiled sadly at Kushina's response. You are correct. A part of me feels like I squandered a portion of my life fighting for a village that no longer exists in my heart. Almost as if it had no meaning, Tsunade remarked, with Minato and Kushina shaking their heads. Nonsense. Tsunade-chan, you faithfully served Konoha. Everyone in need is helped. Along with the people who matter the most. The only people who matter are those who reciprocate your loyalty and love. You have saved them from death numerous times. That means something to me, and I know it does to you. Exclaimed Kushina, giving the woman a, I am right on this. Look and don't argue with me on this. Look, tone. Kushina, you are correct. Those I care about have been saved by my hands numerous times in the past. And they're all coming with us to Uzu. Tsunade smiled as she made her observation. Tsunade's home was where the heart is, as they say, and right now Tsunade's home was with those she called family and friends. 2 weeks later, Hokage Tower. Minato, Kushina, and Rin stood in front of Uchiha Fugaku, the new Yondaime Hokage. The man was flanked on both sides by members of the Uchiha clan and the Anbu who supported him. Danzo, Hiruzen, Homura, and Kaharu stood behind him, smug on their aging faces. Not surprising given that they initially believed they were getting what they desired. Make Jinchuriki a weapon. Jinchuriki is weaponized by 2. I understand why you require Kushina and Rin. But why should I? Minato inquired, Fugaku smirking at him. Because you're going to help my team alter the seals and teach them what you know for future use in case future alterations need to be made, Fugaku replied, though he made the order so Minato would have to turn those he loved into the very thing the man was against. This is incorrect, Fugaku. To defeat its opponents, Konoha does not need to weaponize Jinchuriki. It hasn't in 3 generations, if you include ours. Why alter it now? Minato inquired, while Fugaku frowned at him for questioning his decision. It is for Konoha's benefit. We need to maintain our dominance. Orochimaru and Jiraiya are no longer alive. With regard to him, my predecessor is getting old, as are those around him from his time as Hokage. While they are valuable advisors with years of experience, this village requires brawn to go with the brains. We need to turn these 2 into active Konoha weapons. Kumo, Iwa, Kiri, Suna, and even Uzu will not sit quietly during this period of peace. They will try to kill us in some way, Fugaku spoke up, while Kushina frowned. Konoha's ally is Uzu. They would only become your adversary if provoked, Kushina spoke while Fugaku scowled at her. Kushina, your homeland is becoming more assertive. Taking in clans from both sides. They do not consult with us or seek our approval. They don't even send some of their members here to share their bloodlines with our community. Kushina was fuming at Fugaku's hypocritical response. Konoha hasn't exactly been sharing or forthcoming with anything when Uzu makes a request. Why should my clan give when Konoha doesn't reciprocate? Kushina fired back. Because our village is superior to all others. The superior village does not return anything to the inferior ally. This would make them stronger than us and remove their reliance on our power to survive, Fugaku responded as Kushina became even more enraged. Bastard! Exclaimed Kushina angrily as she noticed the advisors behind Fugaku were completely in agreement with him. I see. So this is your final say on the subject? We can't make you change your mind about turning my wife and a former student into living weapons, can we? Minato asked firmly, which put Hiruzen and the others on edge. No, Fugaku said emphatically, as Minato sighed. Well. At least we tried, Minato said before revealing that he, Kushina, and Rin were shadow clones of the originals. What? Fugaku exclaimed in surprise, while Hiruzen and the others frowned. I see. So that is their choice, Hiruzen expressed his disappointment. This is the path of treason. He prefers his wife and student over Konoha. Unacceptable. Everything is based on emotions and morality. Something that has no place in Konoha, let alone the shinobi world, Danzo added as he felt his grip on the cane tighten. Immediately dispatch Anbu and Hunter Nin. If they haven't already, we must prevent them from leaving Konoha. They are undoubtedly on their way to Uzu. We must stop them from reaching the village. Homura knew Uzu would break all ties with them and complicate things for Konoha. They could not let that happen. However, before Fugaku could even issue such a command to the Anbu, explosions erupted all over Konoha. Anbu entered the room moments later and bowed to the Yondaime Hokage. Fugaku yelled angrily, "Report!" The village has been hit by multiple explosions, Hokage-sama. Mostly along the village walls, but also in the merchant district, the Anbu supply depot, and a portion of the Uchiha police station. Fugaku was furious because the report had effectively put Konoha on defensive lockdown. Protect the village. Lock us up. Unless I give the order, no one leaves. I want all of Konoha's hunter nin to find and hunt down Namikaze Minato, Uzumaki Kushina, and Nohara Rin right away. They are now betraying Konoha. I want their village homes and assets confiscated as punishment for their treachery. Commanded Fugaku, who would take what those three had left behind and use it to his advantage. Yes, Hokage-sama, the Anbu said before departing. Organize an emergency meeting. I'll find out which clans in the village are loyal to me and which will side with those morally bankrupt fools, commanded Fugaku, knowing that many of the clan heads were Minato's friends or supporters. Uzu a little later. Wow. You guys have really grown, Sume commented, whistling, on how Uzu had grown significantly since the Second Shinobi War. Of course, we had to grow. It takes space to become a new shinobi village rather than an Uzumaki clan village, Uzumaki Garp replied as he saw the entire mass of shinobi and clans supporting Minato and Kushina being brought to them via the seals created ahead of time for this very moment. It was similar to Hiraishin no Jutsu without the kunai. The anchored one-time seal for this massive exodus was on the ground in Uzu in a well-guarded area, so there wasn't much point in using a kunai in this case. Around Garp was a large defensive force of Uzu Anbu in case Minato or the others were apprehended and met with foes instead of friends. It is indeed impressive, Hazashi said as he saw Uzu for the first time, finding it similar to Konoha but strangely much more pleasant. I'm curious how long it will take Fugaku Teme to realize that almost every single person from a clan who supported us is no longer alive. All he has left are those stingy Hyuga elders, those following them from the main family, and a few former Rootenin from other clans, Tsunade remarked offhandedly, knowing that without the clans of Konoha supporting him, there was a large power gap left behind. I almost wish I could be there. If only to see his face when he realizes almost everyone has left. Even Bawako-chan and the Sarutobi clan did not stay in Konoha. Hirazen's divorce papers should arrive soon, Kushina added with a gleeful tone and an evil look in her eyes. Shikaku was correct. Women are as perplexing as they are frightening. Or was it the other way around? Wondered Minato, letting a sweat drop down the back of his neck at the sight of his wife sporting the evil supervillain going insane just before unleashing the evil plan created for this moment, type of look without the usual lightning and thunder in the background. Kushina told us how many clans were coming and how many total clans would arrive in Uzu. As a result, each clan has its own home that can accommodate your numbers, if not more. You can all choose a home that is appropriate for your clan. Just don't fight about it. The structures are all the same, so customizing them to your clan's specifics should be simple, explained Garp, knowing that each clan would want to turn each house into something distinctive that said, "This is my clan home." In comparison to others. Sometime later, Hokage Tower. What do you mean this is all that's left? Exclaimed Fugaku, staring at what appeared to be the remnants of Konoha's various ninja clans. Which, based on what the Anbu captain had just told him, was little to nothing. According to the information we have, Yondaime-sama, every clan except your own, and a few members from the others, are all that remain. The Hyuga elders and some members of the main family who support their clan's traditions with the cage bird seal were discovered tied up and gagged in their rooms. Several Aburame and Yamanaka clan members have also been discovered in this manner, implying that they are the ones loyal to Konoha. The Sarutobi clan has also vanished. Hirazen-sama, a note has been left for you. Bawako. This is a message from your wife, the Anbu captain in front of them responded. Give it to me, Hirazen demanded, shocked and enraged at how his clan had abandoned him in Konoha. Hiruzen handed the note to the man, opened it, nearly tearing the paper apart in the process, and began reading the contents. The man was shocked and enraged by what he read because it was clearly written by his wife. Hello, Hiruzen. As you may have noticed, Konoha has lost almost all of its clans and almost all of its members. Ours was included. My first thought, if not instinct, when Kushina and Minato approached me about this was to tell you about their plan to start a mass clan exodus to Uzu. Only after they fully explained their reasons did I realize what a mistake it would have been to tell you. I didn't want to believe what they said about you and what your former teammates and 2 of your former students tried to pull during your tenure as Hokage. I never imagined you would betray the Uzumaki clan and sell them to our adversaries. I refused to believe it. Even now, a part of me refuses to believe the man I loved, married, and had 2 wonderful children with would stoop so low as to betray the Uzumaki clan. That you would betray the entire Senju clan by killing one of its few remaining members and breaking her insides after the death of her lover in order to manipulate her further. To support your former students' immoral bloodline mixing experiments, which required human test subjects, none of whom would be willing participants because the process was most likely lethal in its execution. You wouldn't use anyone from Konoha unless they were not your supporters or were too important to take without being noticed. Kushina and Minato provided me with concrete evidence of your sinful past. Documents. Notes. Everything and anything related to previous crimes they knew you were okay with. Other actions taken by members of the council were acceptable as long as the overall results benefited you in the long run. I sat down and wept for hours after I couldn't read any more of the horrible things you tried to do or approve of others doing. At that painful moment in time, in that moment of complete sorrow, I realized I had married a monster. That I had fallen in love with a monster. Our children were the only positive aspects of our time together. They will be your only redeeming qualities, Hiruzen. There is nothing else. Do not bother asking the monkey summons for assistance. I already informed them of what you did. Your contract with them has expired as of the moment you read this. No doubt, reading this has caused you some discomfort. All of which, however minor, you undoubtedly deserve. You undoubtedly believe I betrayed you by leaving with the Sarutobi clan. That our entire clan has betrayed you. That different clans have betrayed you. Hiruzen, you couldn't be more wrong. You are the one who has betrayed Konoha. We did not abandon you. You did it on your own. You betrayed us all. Your sensei and his family were betrayed by you. You betrayed Fire's will. I am no longer your wife as of right now. You are not my husband anymore. And the children we had together are no longer yours to raise. Enjoy the remaining years of your life alone in your seat of so-called power, away from family and loved ones. Enjoy the rest of your life surrounded by deadly backstabbing snakes that will attack you the moment you show weakness in their eyes. Hello, Hiruzen. Sarutobi Bawako, the true head of the Sarutobi clan. P.S. The divorce papers are held by the seal on the bottom right here. On my end, I've already signed them. Even if you do not sign it, we are no longer one in my eyes, heart, mind, and soul. Hiruzen was rendered speechless. His own wife had left him. She had abandoned him. Konoha was left behind. Left the opportunity for greater power and greatness than anyone else in the village. Because of his position and greatness earned over his many long years alive, she would have been royalty in all but name within Konoha. And for what purpose? All because he assisted in the planning or committed certain heinous acts. All because he helped approve certain things that many would consider immoral if made public? Like the planned, but ultimately futile attempt to crush Uzu? The experiments to create powerful bloodlines in those who were not born with them. funding for Orochimaru to carry out these experiments on innocent people who died in agony in the process. He thought Bawako was more intelligent than that? How could you be so cruel to me, Bawako? How could you turn down what I was offering? Because you were married to the Kami no Shinobi, you would have been loved, respected, and worshipped as a goddess. You stupid woman. You threw everything away. Just because I did what was necessary to strengthen Konoha and allow us to escape death while others died. Thought Hiruzen angrily, shaking the letter almost violently. Hiruzen? Homura inquired, as Hiruzen began to shake violently. Uzu must be exterminated. It's all there. Every structure. Every single person. Everyone, man, woman, and child. They are not to be used to make slaves, prisoners, or even future Jinchuriki. All members of the Uzumaki clan and their supporters must perish. Hiruzen stated vehemently, glaring at everyone in the room as if to challenge him on this decision. While I would love nothing more than to go to war against Uzu, we sadly cannot, Danzo said ironically, because he had always wanted to go to war with Uzu, in secret, to destroy the village before it became the threat it was now. What? And why shouldn't they? Fugaku demanded angrily, not about to let Minato, Kushina, or even Uzu stand in his way of getting what he wanted. Because our power has significantly dwindled. The majority of the clans and their members have vanished. Those who remain are too few in number and, in some cases, too old to fight. Not to mention that the two Jinchuriki we had are not only gone, but also well trained to fight without their Biju. That is, the Sharingan's ability to suppress the Biju's chakra is useless. Not to mention that getting to Uzu, let alone attacking it, would be impossible due to Uzu's changing structure since the failed attempt during the Second Shinobi War. With the addition of all the clans that were once ours now fighting for their new home in Uzu, we'd be defeated almost immediately. We don't have the strength or the means to respond to them right now, Danzo responded, with Fugaku looking even more irritated. That is irrelevant to me. I'm concerned with regaining what was taken from me. Adapted from Konoha. Fugaku exclaimed before a fellow Uchiha clan member entered and handed him a message. Makoto, his wife, sent it. Greetings, Fugaku. If you're reading this, you're probably angry about what happened to Konoha, but not in the way I phrased it. You are enraged by the clans leaving the village for Uzu. You are enraged that your chance to shape Konoha's two Jinchuriki into weapons of war under your command has been squandered. More importantly, you failed to make my dear friend Uzumaki Kushina a slave except in name. Do not think that my time as your wife has dulled my senses, eyes, or even my kunoichi instincts. They're still as sharp as ever. Even more so because we are raising Orochi to be a strong ninja when the time comes. When she isn't fighting Konoha's enemies or those you consider to be your enemies, you want Kushina to be your pleasure toy. You were always envious of Namikaze Minato and desired the women who adored him. I should know because I was in love with him before marrying you. Or, to put it another way, I still love Minato despite my marriage to you, Fugaku. I never got tired of loving him. When we were together, if you can call it that, I imagined Minato making love to me. Not you, sir. You've never loved me, and you've never been that good in bed. Minato, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Yes, Fugaku, I was completely unfaithful to you. Of course, you weren't when you were out late at night at the Uchiha police station, dealing with all of the important cases on your desk, which was the primary reason for coming home in the middle of the night during our marriage. Fugaku, I am not a moron. A woman can tell when her husband is working hard at work and when he is working someone hard. As a result of your unfaithfulness, I retaliated against you, and with Kushina's permission. My wish to be with Minato was granted. I've spent a lot of time with him. With a shadow clone handling the wifely duties, you insisted I do. I easily fooled our clan members. Meanwhile, the real me was either hard at work training to keep my skills sharp, or I was in Minato's bed, where the man was giving my body more pleasure and attention during each moment than you have given me during our entire marriage. To make matters worse for you, Itachi is not your child, my soon-to-be ex-husband. His veins do not contain a single drop of your blood. Itachi is the child of Namikaze Minato and myself. You simply couldn't tell or see the truth because you assumed Itachi inherited my facial features rather than yours. No. He inherited my hair, my eyes, including Sharingan, and a little of Minato's face to confuse you. You may have suspected something in the future, but it would have made little difference at that point. After all, I doubt you would have called me on it, risking my admitting Itachi was someone else's child. Especially since Itachi's potential would be viewed as a reflection of your role as his sire up to that point. You wouldn't love Itachi even if he was a byproduct of Kami's blood. I know you well enough to know that your desire for children is not motivated by love. You are only interested in genetics. Breeding the most powerful Uchiha with any other powerful Uchiha clan member, regardless of relationship. Going so far as to experiment with possible inbreeding in some cases. Don't try to deny it, Fugaku. I heard things in our house when you thought I wasn't listening. So I was paying attention. Plans for making Itachi train every day. Never give up. Denying him a life outside of blood and death as a shinobi while jeopardizing his mental health so you could bask in the so-called glory of his deeds while proclaiming, "That's my boy." To everyone within hearing distance to make people believe you are a caring father. You are not his father, so your praise is hollow and unwelcome in the least. I'm in Uzu now, and I plan to be happy away from you and the rest of the Uchiha clan. Maybe you'll have a child with one of the many whores you visit in the red light district while on patrol. Sex from them in exchange for reduced sentences or a reprieve from any previous crimes these women may have committed. And you're wondering why I stopped having sexual relations with you. In any case, Fugaku, my future is not with you. Fugaku, the future of the Uchiha clan is not in your hands. My son will usher in a new Uchiha clan. One who is not motivated by hatred, greed, or ambition to take advantage of others. Goodbye, Fugaku. Uchiha Makoto, Namikaze Minato's lover and mother to his son Uchiha Itachi. P.S. Your divorce papers are on the bottom seal. I had them prepared before I even knew I was pregnant with Itachi. I just didn't have the chance to send them to you when it was appropriate. Until now. What an ungrateful brat. She not only sleeps with Minato, but also bears him a child of Uchiha ancestry. That should have been my child. So what if I was involved with other women? Uchiha males are allowed to sleep with as many women as they want. Exclaimed Fugaku, who was now seeing red that matched the color of his Sharingan. This is completely unacceptable. We must devise a strategy to exact vengeance on these traitors to the will of fire. Danzo said this knowing that the longer they waited, the stronger their enemies would become, and Konoha would become even weaker once the other villages found out. The plan is to launch an attack. Now. Gather all of the remaining Anbu and Junin in Konoha. We're going to Uzu, and we're going to burn it down. Fugaku obeyed, his rage blinding him to the painful truth. No. Konoha is too frail to confront Uzu. Even if we deployed all available ninja to take Uzu, we would never be able to breach their defenses. We can't afford any more setbacks, with Fugaku staring at him, Danzo countered. I am the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha, and I hereby command that every capable ninja in this village prepare for war against Uzu. Exclaimed Fugaku before exiting the room to inform everyone else of the order. He's going to lead us into ruin, Homura opined, his face frowning. It was a mistake to make him Hokage with his anger blinding him, Koharu added, frowning. It is now too late. If we defy his orders, it will be considered treason, and he will almost certainly have us executed just to make his point. Danzo commented that things were out of control and that it was Hiruzen's fault for appointing Fugaku in the first place. This was not going to end well for Konoha.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.